killed last week in Afghanistan, and also for former clerk of the board Barbara Gallagher of Piscataway, and in memory of Lawrence Rietsma, who is the father of Danielle Rietsma in the clerk's office here. Salute to the flag, Dennis.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, has been complied with and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting.
Roll call.
Freeholder Armwood.
Here.
Freeholder Barrett Belante. Freeholder Kenny.
Here.
Freeholder Polos. Freeholder Tamaro.
Here.
Freeholder Valenti.
Here.
Freeholder Director Rios.
Here. We have some recognitions.
Just one this evening, recognizing the honorees of the Carteret Mayor Ryman's annual charity ball.
Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Valente, seconded by Freeholder Tamaro. Roll call.
Freeholder Armwood.
Yes.
Freeholder Kenny.
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rios.
Yes. Do we have any presentations?
Not this evening.
Correspondence?
Each freeholder has been provided with a list of correspondence received by the clerk's office since our last meeting. This correspondence will be kept on file in the office of the clerk of the board for reference.
Is there a motion to accept?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Valente, seconded by Freeholder Tamaro. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports of freeholders. Freeholder Ken Armour.
Freeholder Director, I have no report this evening, so I'll defer. Thank you.
Freeholder Charles Kenny.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. Just a couple items here. I'd like to report that the county has created a new purchasing portal, and it has been rolled out, and it's now operational. The Middlesex County Interactive Procurement Portal is now operational. It can be accessed through our current website at the purchasing page or directly through http://co.middlesex.nj.us/purchasing/index.asp. The information posted includes bid and proposal opportunities, awards of contracts, as well as cooperative information. The cooperative information is the stuff that other towns in the county can buy into or become a part of from the vendors to help them save money. Hopefully it provides them a cheaper rate for stuff that they may need, especially in some of the smaller towns. It's vendor friendly. Vendors register and access opportunities, matching their business type, opportunities, updates, and addendum automatically emailed to all vendors that have downloaded opportunities. So once the vendor puts themselves into the system, they'll be notified when work that is under their, whether it's a plumbing business or some other type of business, something comes up that meets their criteria, they'll be notified that the county has that up there so they can participate. The site is easy to navigate and maintain. It's real-time posting, so it's updated constantly. In-house reports can be generated to include vendor, price, thresholds, commodities. It's an excellent tracking tool for us within the county itself. It's doing business with the county purchasing office will be easier and more efficient, and the goal is to make doing business with the county friendlier, especially for our small business owners, so that we get them involved. And hopefully by bringing more vendors in and having them participate, it drives down the cost to the county for getting this work done. So hopefully that'll be another outcome of this portal. I have a question, Mr. Peretti. I don't know, so I don't want to shortchange anybody, but this wasn't just one department. What departments were involved in this so they get some credit on getting this to happen? Go ahead.
We had been working with IT. We looked at a bunch of different types of portals out there, and this is the one we purchased, but right now it's strictly purchasing. We're the only ones that solicit commodity or business proposals for commodities. In the near future, though, we hope to bring engineering on for their construction projects. Right now, engineering is not involved. We want to make sure we can look at all the kinks if there are any before we bring them on. But right now, it's strictly
So phase 1 is purchasing, and phase 2 is going to be engineering and projects.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Once again, I'm not going to go through the website address because nobody's going to be able to write it down fast enough. But if you want to, just go to the county page, click on the purchasing page, and you'll be able to get to the link that you need to, and hopefully businesses and towns that are in the county will take advantage of this opportunity. The other one that I have is the 2014 Tax Board Appeals. I'd like to update the County Freeholder Board and the public on tax appeals this year. I know many of you realize that since the economy went down, driving down the prices of property throughout, not just Middlesex County or the state, but the country, we have seen a high number of tax appeals over the past 4 years. I'm happy to report that this year the number has gone down. This is the effect of two issues. The large number of appeals that we've had over the last few years has lessened the pile, as I said, but also the recovery that has gone on throughout our country. It's been a slow recovery, but a recovery nonetheless. And the uptick in prices has caused taxes to be more in line with current values of properties. So I want to commend the Tax Appeal Board for their efforts during the past 4 years. They're keeping up with the appeals in a timely manner, helps to make the information that we need to keep the county government going timely and updated. Just for some numbers, we had 3,172 for the year, and that's a reduction of almost 3,000 from 2013. So it's approximately 50% reduction from each of the years from 2010 to 2013. So I want to thank the Board of Appeals for their work on behalf of, and their effort on behalf of this. And that's all I have, Director. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder Kenny. Freeholder H. James Polos.
Thank you, Director. Just a quick report from our Solid Waste Division. There'll be 3 paper shredding events coming up on June 28th at South Brunswick School Senior Center from 9 to 12. On July 11th at New Brunswick High School from 9 to 12, and July 12th at the Edison Municipal Building from 9 to 12. This is an opportunity for you to bring any personal papers, documents, bank information, anything that you feel you have concerns about from a safety or security standpoint, you can bring to the paper shredding event. Watch your papers being shredded so you can make sure that it was being done properly, and it'll be disposed of, again, appropriately, and it's a great, secure way. It's a very highly used program, I might add. The residents really enjoy it. They get a lot out of it, and it's great that we're able to get some state grant funds, and our Solid Waste Division is able to pull that together. Thank you, Mickey Gross, to you and to your staff. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Freeholder Polos. Freeholder Charles Tamaro.
Thank you, Director, and I just want to say it's a very busy time of the year and a great time of the year for our park system. I want to thank the Middlesex County Youth Conservation Corps for their efforts to rehabilitate our natural areas. On June 7th, that was National Trails Day, where 45 volunteers together with the County Conservation Corps spent the morning improving the trails at Thompson Park and Monroe. Volunteers consisted of the Edison Leos Club and the Cub Scout Pack 107. On June 14th, we hosted our first annual fishing derby at Johnson Park, where we had 114 young anglers, ages 4-7, 8-10, and 11-14. The weather was great thanks to Ralph Albanier and Rick Lear, who did their no rain dance the Friday night before. We gave out prizes for the biggest fish in each of the categories, and we also gave out prizes for the smallest fish in each of the categories. So those that caught the little fishes to the biggie fishies each received a prize. So it was a great event, and we're going to continue it every year, and hopefully it should grow, and more people will come and enjoy the day. We did it actually to coincide with 2 days of the year you get to fish for without having a license, and that's sometime in June. This year was June 14th and 15th, so it's a great way to get people involved in fishing without going and get the license first. And it's also just a reminder that our Plays in the Park, which began last night, and Sunset Boulevard will run through June 28th. July 9th through July 19th, the play Shrek. It's a musical, and it's a great time for the family to come and enjoy. And on July 30th through August 9th will be our last play, Bye Bye Birdie. So come out and enjoy the plays. They are very, very good. Thank you, Director. And next year we're going to rename the fishing derby the Ron Rios Fishing Derby.
Freeholder Blanquita Valenti.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. From the Department of Community Services, on Monday, June the 30th, there will be a groundbreaking ceremony for the Kilmer Homes Project, which is located at Truman Avenue and Road 2 in Edison. This project is being developed on 6 acres of vacant land on the north tip of the former Camp Kilmer military base. The Township of Edison is redeveloping the Camp Kilmer site to include educational, municipal, and recreational facilities, in addition to the housing portion in accordance with the base realignment and closure regulations. The Kilmer Homes Project is an integral component of the county's plan to end homelessness. Kilmer Homes will include a total of 120 units of affordable housing, including 30 units specifically dedicated for homeless households. The 30 units for homeless persons will be permanent, supporting housing with CCC Housing Incorporated, which will be providing on-site coordination of support services. Kilmer Homes is being co-developed by a joint venture between the Edison Housing Authority, the Alberta Group, CCC Housing, and Monarch Housing. Construction is being financed through the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency, and the County of Middlesex through our Housing First Capital Fund. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Freeholder Valente. Okay. Mr. Kelso, we have resolutions to be added.
Yes, Resolution 14-1150, and this is the amendment of the 2014 operating budget, State of New Jersey, Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, Homeland Security UASI grant in the amount of $950,000.
Is there a motion to add that?
Motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Freeholder Valente, seconded by Freeholder Tamaro. Roll call.
Freeholder Armwood?
Yes.
Freeholder Kenny?
Yes.
Freeholder Polos?
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro?
Yes.
Freeholder Valente?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rios?
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Kelso.
Yes, there are no resolutions to be amended. We have one resolution to be held that was indicated on the evening, and that's Resolution 14-1085 to authorize execution and submission of a grant agreement, fiscal year 2014, state aid to counties in the annual transportation program. This will reappear at the next agenda. And then lastly, we have one resolution to be voided, which is the resolution actually which was replaced by the one we added. And that resolution is 14-1127, amendment of 2014 operating budget for the Middlesex County Department of Public Safety and Health, Office of Emergency Management and Preparedness, increased by $950,000 due to additional funding awarded. And I realize we didn't vote the resolution to be held, so we should vote that currently.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Valente, seconded by Freeholder Tamaro. Roll call.
Freeholder Armwood?
Yes.
Freeholder Kenny?
Yes.
Freeholder Polos?
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro?
Yes.
Freeholder Valente?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rios?
Yes.
And then we should vote the resolution to be voided.
Is there a motion to void the resolution 1127?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Valente, seconded by Freeholder Tamaro. Roll call.
Freeholder Armwood?
Yes.
Freeholder Kenny? Freeholder Polos?
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro?
Yes.
Freeholder Valente?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rios?
Yes. At this time, I'd like to open up the meeting to the public on any discussion on any resolutions listed. Anyone from the public?
A motion to close the public portion?
Second.
Motion to close by Freeholder Tamaro, seconded by Freeholder Valente. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda and voted separately? Okay, Mr. Kelso?
Yes, Freeholder Director, a motion would then be in order to adopt the consent agenda consisting of resolution numbers 14-1046 through resolution number 14-1150, excluding resolution 14-1085 to be held, resolution number 14-1127 to be voided, and resolution numbers 14-1076 and 1077, which are actually not included on this agenda but are in sequence, and none to be voted upon separately.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Freeholder Valente, seconded by Freeholder Tamaro. Roll call.
Freeholder Armwood?
Yes.
Freeholder Kenny? Freeholder Polos?
Yes.
Freeholder Tamaro?
Yes.
Freeholder Valente?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rios?
Yes. Okay, at this time I mic and state your name and address, please.
My name is Ellen Witt. I live at 218 Rutgers Street here in New Brunswick. A month ago, I and a number of others from the community attended the Freeholders meeting to express our concern that the Middlesex County Jail is holding people past the time they were scheduled for release in order to assist ICE, otherwise known as the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Federal Agency, to assist ICE with their deportation efforts. Now, the people affected by these so-called ICE holes are basically people in one of four categories, I think. They are people who have served their time at the jail. They are people who have not been convicted and have posted bail. They are people who are arrested but found not guilty, or they are people whose charges are dropped. In every case, they have the constitutional right to walk out the door, and yet Middlesex County detains them as a free service for ICE. Now, this practice has been successfully challenged around the country and the 3rd District Circuit Court, which oversees New Jersey, which found that counties are not obligated to hold people for ICE. And in fact, the counties may be held liable for this practice. The Department of Homeland Security's own records show that over 300 people per year for the past few years are placed on the list to be held against their will simply as a courtesy for ICE here in Middlesex. We do not think that Middlesex County should facilitate the separation of immigrant families in this manner. At the last meeting, Freeholder Director Rios stated, quote, "We are reviewing options of what direction we want to go and how we want to fine-tune it. We should be making a decision soon." However, he did not give any indication as to what changes you might make. Now, this is a month later. I would like to know whether this issue has been discussed further over the last month and what progress you have made since the May 22nd meeting. I'd also like to know your timetable for implementing changes and what kind of changes you expect to make. As you can imagine, for people who are held without charges, waiting to see if they will be handed over to ICE and then sent to detention centers around the country, they cannot afford to wait for months while the county delays correcting this policy. So if you could answer my questions about whether this issue has been discussed, what progress has been made, and a timetable for implementing the changes, and what kinds of changes you expect to make.
Okay, at this point I can tell you this, we're not going to have a timetable of when we're going to do it. We plan on doing it rather soon, but I don't want to be, and I don't think the rest of the board wants to be pressured by a timetable because we want to do it right. Do we believe that the direction that we're going to go in is that we're going to not accommodate ICE beyond what the charges are and what they're detained for? Now, but we're also looking at is that what kind of charges there may be, additional charges, depending on the crime that people are charged, if ICE asks us to hold a certain individual. So we want to make sure that we have a specific policy in place, and then we'll adopt it.
Well, so it has been a month. Are you working on this?
Well,
or
we had
what
a
is,
meeting. We had a meeting that we just discussed it this week, and County Council is working on getting the proper language so that we make sure that we protect the county, that when we do it and adopt the policy, we will do it right. Mr. Kelso, would you like to add to that?
I think that just to supplement what the director has indicated, I think as you're aware, in a number of jurisdictions, there has been a movement towards honoring detainers only in circumstances where individuals have been held for serious offenses. And so that in circumstances where someone had been convicted or being held for serious offenses, there may be, there is generally a movement in the I think in the governmental community to at least allow the 48-hour detainer in circumstances where someone had been convicted of a serious offense. And I know that Ms. Wilkinson actually provided some of that information to us previously. I think that the expectation is that there will be a policy that will recognize the fact that these detainers are voluntary, they're not mandatory, but that there is some obligation to at least try to accommodate the detainer in circumstances where a serious offense had been previously committed. I think that...
What qualifies as a serious offense in your mind?
It depends on the circumstances, but and every state defines serious in a different way. I think the expectation would be to look at things that are first and second degree offenses. And as you know, I don't know if you are aware, but in New Jersey there is level of offenses: first degree, second degree, third degree, fourth degree, crimes of violence, crimes of seriousness. And we look at first and second degree offenses as those that are of a serious nature. So I think that's in line with what you see in a lot of other jurisdictions. We also think that there's an opportunity to work closer with ICE to provide information before the 48 hours is even necessary in order to have cooperation with ICE so that no one is held under any circumstances under a 48-hour detainer because information will have already been worked through with ICE. In other words, we don't wait till the last minute, we get a detainer request, and then you have to wait 48 hours before they do their homework. So these are the kind of things we're looking at with an expectation that no one wants to hold somebody for 48 extra hours for no reason. And I think that the board's feeling is in line with where you're coming from on that. But there has to be some protection for the public generally when you look at people that have been in fact convicted of serious offenses.
It does sound like you're trying to facilitate ICE to be able to deport people by arranging in advance.
The general policy will be not to recognize that they are discretionary detainers. But there is also a responsibility the Freeholders have to the community at large in the case that there are individuals who have committed serious offenses to at least give ICE the opportunity to do background work that they do. But we want to make certain, and what we're trying to do is to have that done before the 48 hours even clicks in.
Mm-hmm. Just for information, some places are actually asking ICE to come up with a warrant.
Yep.
And that's a possibility rather than you taking all these steps to help facilitate them.
I agree, but actually I think what we're seeing out there is that ICE is seeing more and more a significant pushback for these 48-hour detainers generally, and because of that, they would rather to accommodate or to accomplish their purpose to allow us to be accommodated before the 8 hours clicks in, so that we don't run into the problem where we have a public body that's being asked to hold people beyond the time that they would normally be held. And because that's happening not only here, but it's happening in other states, they're more willing to work with us earlier on while the person is still actually being held for a conviction or a charge.
Or awaiting trial.
Or awaiting trial.
With no charges and not necessarily guilty of anything.
There are many circumstances we're talking about.
That's the majority of circumstances
offenses.
Here.
We're looking at first and second degree offenses, what we're looking at.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Karina Wilkinson, Highland Park. It's interesting to hear what you're contemplating here. Currently, there are 81 detainers in files. I received that from your deputy earlier today. So the question is, in terms of the, not asking for a timeline, but just a sort of a time frame of whether any of those people that have the detainers are going to be held on, that have the detainers in their file, that are they going to be held on the detainer while you're contemplating this policy?
Let me try to clarify the answer that you received today. There are actually no individuals in the correction center currently that are being held strictly on a 48-hour detainer with no charges.
Yes, I understand.
The 81 individuals you're referring to are actually being held for charges or are serving their sentences.
Right.
But they happen to also have a detainer. But that's not why they're being held. They're being held for their charges.
No, I understand. I understand. I'm saying,
well, I'm
suppose
not sure the freeholders understand.
Okay, so in case they complete their time and it's time for them to be released, how is that going to be handled in this time frame while you're considering the policy?
I would say this, I don't think we're talking about a long period of time before the policy is actually, finalized, because we made a lot of progress on it. So I doubt it would have much effect on any of those individuals.
I think the decision is imminent. We had a very thorough meeting last week. We actually were prepared to move forward some weeks ago before you provided us the additional information, which we found very useful, but it sent us back to the table to rethink our position and our policy. We were able to go through, I think, a lot of details. As the director indicated, we want to make sure that we're doing it in a proper fashion. We met with our warden, our security staff, as well as county council, and we want to make sure that the language in there is specific to Middlesex County and works in the state of New Jersey. You gave us comparisons from other states. As the county council indicated, their definitions of crimes and so forth are different than the way that we define them. Some use the words felonies, we use different words. So we are trying to go through this meticulously, because we know that once we come out with a program or policy, other people will be going through it meticulously as well to determine that we did dot every I and cross every T and take everything into consideration. So that's why we're going through that process. But I would say that a finding is imminent. I don't want to give time frames either specifically, but I think you can expect something very shortly.
Okay, and we would also ask that, as Ellen Witt mentioned, that there be a judicial warrant, even in the case of serious crimes, and that you not adopt ICE's categories, which include aggravated felonies, which could be as minor a crime as shoplifting. Also, you mentioned communication between that you're going to be communicating now, especially in these cases of people with more serious crimes, in advance with ICE. What form of communication will that take?
Well, our adult corrections, the warden or his staff would be getting in touch with ICE early on when an inmate comes in. This way we don't get to that close end of that 48 hours, so that this way, early on, if a John Doe is admitted at 9 o'clock in the morning in the jail, our correction facility is going to notify ICE that we have John Doe there, and just to give them notice, so this way we don't get to that 11th hour that they're scrambling looking to hold that person.
Is that going to be a list of individuals? That's sent over? Is it going to be by email? Is it going to be a phone call? What is the method of communication?
Queen, we don't have the detail for that. We really leave that to the expertise of the warden and his staff. They do have regular communication with ICE as it is. The intent is to adopt a working policy with ICE to just expedite the communication that currently actually occurs. It's just a question of expediting it and getting it done earlier. But I really leave it to the expertise of the warden and his staff to determine that. It wouldn't be appropriate for the Freeholders to adopt that. It's really between law enforcement. But the intent would be this, what our policy is, which is to do it early.
And let me just maybe clarify for a second, because I don't want it to sound as though we're going to be sitting there making calls every day to ICE saying, guess who's here now. That information, once they're arrested and incarcerated, and actually once they're booked and put through the process, that information is sent out through the national network. And ICE, as well as every other law enforcement agency at the federal or state or local level, are all notified of who it is and what the information is. They all have that available to them. How they process that information, what their time frame is and so forth, is really up to the individual agency. So as we start to pull out of the detainer business as part of this new initiative that the Freeholder Board has embraced as a result of your initial request, what ICE does procedurally in order to counter that or be able to respond to that is really up to ICE, but we're not taking on any more burden or responsibility with respect to how that process works. That's really going to be up to that agency.
Okay, well, I encourage you to let us know as soon as you've updated the policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public that would like to speak? Please state your name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Reynalda Cruz. My address is 51 Joyce Gilmer Avenue, here in New Brunswick. I'm Mexican. Yo estoy aquí porque para nosotros es bien importante lo que se está haciendo con nuestra gente.
I'm here because for us it's very important what is happening to our people.
Porque cuando son arrestados por un policía por un simple ticket por conducir el auto, o quizás no tener licencia porque nos vemos obligados a la necesidad de manejar un carro a veces sin tener una licencia.
Because when we are arrested just because of a traffic violation, a traffic ticket, or sometimes because we're driving without a license because we have the need and we are not able to get driver's licenses.
Porque tenemos un trabajo y tenemos que llegar a él. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Que si es arrestado, rápidamente es entregado a ICE y eso no es justo.
Because we have jobs and we need to get to our jobs. That's why sometimes we have to drive without a permission, without a driver's license. When the person is arrested and he's immediately turned to ICE for deportation, that is unfair.
Cuando nadie está pensando en que hay familias que necesitan el soporte de sus padres, de sus hermanos, quizás de sus hijos.
Nobody's thinking how our families need the support of our parents, of our brothers, of our sisters.
Yo estoy viviendo aquí en New Brunswick desde 1991 y no era antes así. No sé por qué está pasando ahora tanto eso aquí.
I live in New Brunswick since 1991, and before it didn't used to be like this. I don't understand why this is happening now.
Nosotros como hispanos somos la comunidad más vulnerable a que somos discriminados realmente porque ICE nos ve como si fuéramos cosas raras.
We as Hispanics, we feel very discriminated. We feel discriminated by ICE. They look at us as if we are weird people.
Y más que nada cuando una comunidad como New Brunswick lo está apoyando, cuando se les está dando luz roja para que ellos hagan, cuando ustedes tienen el poder de decir no. Si yo tengo a alguien en la cárcel por un delito menor, no tengo por qué entregarlo a ICE, pero no, que lo que está pasando es que están trabajando juntos con ellos para que seamos deportados.
We live in New Brunswick. We are New Brunswick, and we support this board. But we feel that we are being turned over to ICE, and that you are working in coordination with ICE, and to basically send us out of the country.
Lo que nosotros queremos es que ustedes nos apoyen, que esa ley se quite, porque nosotros venimos a trabajar a este país. Yo estoy consciente de que si cometemos un delito grave, seamos deportados, pero no por un delito menor.
We want to ask for your support because we only come here to this country to work. And I am aware that if somebody commits a very serious crime, they should be deported, but not people that are just driving or being arrested for traffic tickets.
Lo único que yo también quiero decirles que así como nosotros los respetamos a ustedes porque son personas importantes, nosotros somos seres humanos y merecemos respeto.
What we are asking is that the same way we respect you because you are very important people, we are asking for the same respect because we are human beings.
Y también como comunidad hispana y como inmigrante en este país, nosotros estamos tratando de ponernos al nivel de ustedes, estudiando, acatando las leyes de ustedes para que seamos reconocidos también. No queremos quitarle ningún puesto a nadie, que estamos trabajando, pagamos nuestros taxes. ¿Qué es lo que ustedes quieren que hagamos? Que paguemos nuestros taxes, que aprendamos inglés, que estemos en un nivel más o menos no tan bajo, porque realmente nosotros los hispanos estamos aquí ganando lo mínimo, $8.25. ¿Ustedes piensan que es suficiente para nosotros mantener
Time.
nuestras familias?
Just gonna translate that.
You can translate.
She's saying that we are really trying to better ourselves, that we understand that
have very high positions, and we are working really hard to study, improve ourselves. We pay our taxes. We make a really big effort to pay our taxes and do what is right, and that's why we are asking for this.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
My name is Aaron Todd. I reside at 79 Lawrence Avenue in Highland Park. I'm a little bit dismayed by what I think of as a relatively cavalier way of treating people in this county. Holding someone without due process, without a warrant, without a legal basis, voluntarily holding somebody against their will, is not a right of this county government. It is not a right of this county government to hold in jail against their will people who otherwise would be released under the laws of this county and this state for courtesy to a federal institution such as ICE, which over the years we have all come to understand has been mistreating people in mass numbers. I encourage you to consult your own feelings, your own soul, your own understanding of what is right and wrong about how human beings are supposed to be treated in this country. I am astounded that any policy change should be kept so quiet, so covert, that it is not something that is to be shared with the public, except through the public coming into this room and asking specific questions about how you are going to face your responsibilities as a constitutional institution. It has been found non-constitutional, against the Constitution, to hold people against their will without proper due process and oversight. And I believe, from my experience in coming to this meeting a month ago and hearing at that time, yes, something is being discussed, yes, something is being decided, and it will be happening very shortly, and hearing precisely the same words here. I think it's despicable to hold human beings against their will with no due process, with no warrant, through politeness or courtesy to the federal institution, ICE. What a name we have for that. ICE, as in icy souls. ICE, as in people who don't think that others can be human beings if they don't speak English. This is a country of immigrants. Please attend to this and attend to it carefully. I'm astounded that the county freeholders would be operating under a situation where they are responsible for non-constitutional behavior. Thank you very much.
Director.
Thank you.
You mind if I make a comment? Mr. Todd, I think you don't know some of the history. In fact, what you talk about it being unconstitutional was just determined in an April Third Circuit Court decision. That was done in late April. Prior to that, there were two regulations in place, one of which clearly stated that it was the obligation, not a courtesy, that it was the obligation of local law enforcement to detain individuals who were requested by ICE.
As a result of that, this county, when it was first brought to our attention a few months ago, orchestrated a letter through County Council with the approval of the Freeholder Board that was sent to the United States Attorney General to ask for an interpretation of that regulation that existed in two different types of language in two different sections of the rules, because we too were unclear as to exactly what our rights were, what our obligations were, what we were allowed to do. We did not receive a response to that. We dispatched the second letter approximately a month and a half later to the U.S. Attorney General, asking him again to respond to our request to interpret the rules and the laws because we were unable to do so on our own. We also indicated in that letter, had we not received an appropriate response in a reasonable period of time, we would assume that they were disinterested in the issue and that we could take actions into our own hands. Subsequent to those two letters, we were provided with a copy of the Third Circuit Court decision, which was again in late April. As a result of that, we had an immediate meeting to talk about the constitutionality of keeping individuals who were under the ICE detainers. And in that short period of time, intervening time in the last 6 or 7 weeks, we have been meeting to discuss exactly that, how we develop this detainer. As I mentioned earlier, we were actually prepared a few weeks ago to proceed as a result of additional information that Ms. Wilkinson provided to us for other states who had actually sat down and deciphered specific types of crimes that should be included and not be included in the ICE detainer policy. We sat down and rethought what our initial position was and went back to the drawing board to refine it and redo it to make sure that we not only comported with what other states were doing, but made sure that we complied with the state regulations. So I would tell you, having been involved in government in 31 years, I think in the short few weeks that we've been involved in this issue, we've been trying to move rather quickly as a result of the information that we received, realizing that this is a federal issue as well. We also have an obligation to, I believe, and I think every citizen does, to work cooperatively with all types of law enforcement agencies, whether we agree with every policy that they make or not. But we certainly want to make sure that we are making the right decision with respect to the rights of the citizens who are in our custody and control, and that's why we're making sure that we're putting it into the proper detail, dotting every I and crossing every T. So I would respectfully take exception of your comments about us being ignoring the issue and taking despicable action against individuals who have rights. When it was brought to our attention, we acted immediately. We've moved in an expeditious manner, certainly as it relates to government operations, and we're trying to make this thing happen in a proper and appropriate way. Thank you, sir.
I stand by my words. It's
excuse me, you're out of order,
please
sir.
consult your souls.
Okay, thank you for your comments. And I would also like to reiterate that this county Board of Chosen Freeholders is working very responsible in making sure that we get this policy in place rather soon and rather right, protecting all the citizens of this great county. So we're not being remiss in our duties, and we're making sure that we're protecting the county as a whole. Anyone else that would like to speak in the public? Is there a motion to?
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Bonfilia Jarquín. Mi dirección no la puedo dar por un motivo muy especial. Estoy amenazada de muerte.
My name is Porfilia Jarquín. I'm a resident of New Brunswick, but I cannot provide my address since I have death threats.
Yo no vengo ahorita como organización, no represento a ninguna organización, pero sí vengo como madre.
I'm not here representing any organization. I'm here to talk as a mother.
Yo estoy de acuerdo en que las leyes se tienen que acatar.
I agree that laws must be abided.
Pero hay algo que nosotros también como comunidad hispana necesitamos.
There's something that we as a Hispanic community need.
Que si están violando las leyes, que sea lo que se tiene que hacer. La ley se tiene que respetar como tiene que ser.
That if people are violating the laws, then laws need to be respected.
Creo que tienen que ser justos también, que si por una infracción de tránsito o por delitos menores están siendo llevados ya directo a ICE.
But we have to be fair that because of traffic tickets and for minor infractions, people are being taken over to ICE.
Otro de los problemas también es que yo estoy pasando por una situación difícil hoy, en esta semana.
I am going through a very difficult situation right now.
Ay, se llevó a mi expareja
ICE just took my partner
por violencia doméstica
because of domestic violence.
y él fue liberado por una fianza de ICE.
And he was set free.
Mi vida
He
corre
was
peligro.
set free because he paid bail. Now my life is in danger.
Estoy preocupada porque él me está buscando.
I am very worried because he's looking for me.
Yo fui a la oficialía aquí de la policía y no pude hacer nada.
I went to the police department and I couldn't do anything.
Fui también a la corte de familia y no me ayudaron.
I went to the family court and they didn't help me.
Prácticamente estoy sola
Practically I'm alone.
y yo creo que es justo que si va a deportar a alguien por violar las leyes y por tener delitos mayores, que sean deportados.
So I think it is fair that ICE deports people for major crimes.
Mi hija y yo corremos peligro en este momento.
My daughter and I are in danger at this moment.
Yo creo que ustedes son justos y queremos también que sean justos con nosotros, pero por delitos menores no puede ser. Pero en esta situación que estoy pasando creo que lo merecen.
So I think if we need to be fair, and what I'm asking is that people with a minor infraction should not be deported.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's exactly the process we're going through, so thank you for that comment.
And let me say this, the Freeholder Board does not legislate laws as far as traffic laws or criminal laws. We do not enact laws. So understand that clearly, that, we have a responsibility to protect citizens, that they're safe when someone creates a criminal act. Anyone else in the public that would like to speak?
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
Motion by Fielder Tamaro to close, seconded by Fielder Valente. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Freeholder Valente, seconded by Fielder Tamaro to close. To adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.